Hey, I'm Braden with IT Edge, and today I'm joined by Elena.
Hi.
Elena is our digital marketing intern for the spring from Westchester University, and we're just going to be chatting a little bit about website hosting, different website platforms, everything regarding essentially what we do for a website setup, and maybe you can learn a thing or two as well. So we'll just kind of touch on those different topics. So starting off, Elena, coming from Westchester, I know with the website hosting and different platforms, what's your experience like with different websites and website platforms?
So I've only ever really had one true experience, and that was kind of just teaching myself the ways on Wix.
Yep.
It was a pretty long process because I was trying to figure everything out, but there were a lot of steps to it, and
Yeah.
it was definitely a learning experience, but I think like that topic just in general, there's just so much in depth to it, you know?
Yeah, it's definitely complex, and you can get very deep with it. The idea for this episode, just in a couple minutes, we'll chat about what we've seen with IT Edge, what we use, what works well for us, and I think it's great that we'll have you here today because you can kind of give your perspective, being on Wix a little bit and seeing that builder and how it relates to the different platforms that we can use. And as far as WordPress, have you ever been in the WordPress platform before?
No, I actually
Yeah.
have not. I think today I was the first I heard about it from you and Noah.
Yeah, there are lots of different builders as far as websites go. And I think it's actually really cool you said. I think a lot of people will start on a platform like Wix or Squarespace or Weebly.
Yeah.
And maybe they'll start building something. It's very user friendly. You can sign up for a couple, maybe $300 a year or $25 a month, and you can get started. But like you mentioned, sometimes it's a little tougher. It can take a couple hours to even get your bearings with
Just
the platform.
grasp the concept and try and like work around it.
Yes. Yeah, and so we've actually worked with a lot of clients that they'll start doing something like that on one of those builders and then say,
Now
okay, yeah, it's I've tried my hand at this and it looks okay. It's functional, maybe it works, but we need to make this professional. We need to take this to the next level.
Yeah.
So that's where, as far as website hosting is concerned, so we've actually done two different things. We've hosted directly on WordPress.com. So WordPress is kind of like its own software. So you, instead of building a website on Wix or Weebly, whereas that's like you host it on the platform and it's the builder, WordPress is just the builder. So we actually host with WordPress.com or WP Engine, and then we use the WordPress builder. So those are kind of the two different pieces there. So we like, especially now as we're growing in this area, we like to host with WP Engine, and there are lots of different website hosts. So WP Engine is popular, Flywheel is popular. You can do the two-in-one host and builder, like those. Like WordPress.com is kind of like both of those. You host and then you build right there. But we've seen the most success with a WP Engine secure hosting setup, and that's the advantage of a professional company is you go in and you're on their secure server, where with something like Wix or Squarespace or even WordPress.com, you're on a shared server with hundreds of different people.
Right.
So we want to try to avoid that the best we can. But as far as WordPress, like you mentioned, so let's say we have our hosting set up. So we say, okay, we want WP Engine maybe. Now we have WP Engine hosting. Now we need our builder. So we install WordPress on that WP Engine site, and then we start building. So what's your experience as far as like website building? I know you said you used Wix a little bit. What was that like for you?
It was fun creating it and stuff.
Yeah.
But then after, the creative and just like piecing it together, it was okay. Like we talked about, like now what? Like I'm stumped.
Yeah.
So how do I get my website to start getting traction?
Yeah.
And like the more SEO behind it and stuff
Yeah.
is what came up.
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, you have your builder, you built it, now the next steps, and this is where themes come into play. So, things like Wix, and I know Squarespace, well, I think Wix also, like those builders have themes in them, so
Yeah,
you can
they
kind of
do.
like pre-select
Yeah.
the templates a little bit. But what we really like to use on WordPress is actually a theme builder. So there are two really popular ones. One's called Elementor and one's called Divi. So you can actually go in and customize the entire theme without the need for any code, which is really nice. Because you can spend hours and hours and hours coding something, but there's especially at this point, there's kind of no reason to do that.
Yeah.
Because you have the platforms that can overcome that. So we're kind of taking the power from the web host, like WP Engine, the power of WordPress.com, and then we're overlaying a really nice builder on top of that, which is the theme. So that's kind of the ecosystem there. So we prefer to use the Divi theme, so we can install that Divi theme on the WordPress, which is hosted on WP Engine, and then we can build the environment from there. So all of the builds can happen, directly on WordPress. It's similar to, it can be as simple and we can build it. So it's like a drag and drop, kind of like a Wix platform or a Squarespace. So it's really easy for small businesses to use, but we want to make it super user friendly. We don't want it to where if you have to change it, you go in and do code.
Right.
So that's essentially our setup from the website hosting with WP Engine, the dedicated server, to the platform with WordPress, and then we overlay our theme, which is Divi, and that gives us the power to build out a very robust site with optimization all the way through, so that it's very fast, because those builders can get sort of slow sometimes. But that's where the power of the WP Engine and WordPress comes in. It helps to support that actual theme so that it runs faster.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the full ecosystem. So I know it's one of your first times hearing about that whole ecosystem.
Yeah.
What do you think about that layout and that spread? Does it sound complicated or simple or?
At first it sounded pretty complicated, but as you break it down, it seems like it's kind of more of a step-by-step process that you just gotta follow through, and then you see as it comes.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So that's our process, and we just wanted to do a quick little video on that hosting WordPress Divi theme run through so that people can get an idea of what we do. There are different things that work for different people. We've seen some gorgeous Wix and Squarespace and Weebly websites. There are people that build gorgeous ones. There are some professional companies that just build on those platforms, and that works very well. But this is our particular stack of those three, so we just wanted to give a quick video of an intro of that, and we'll definitely at a later point go into, like you were mentioning, okay, now we have our core website, how do we make it really special? How do we put optimizations and plugins and features? But this is going to be our foundation, and this is going to be our base. So from here, we can just continue to grow and build a beautiful website.
Yeah.
So if you, as a business owner or organization leader, or as someone in an organization, if you touch your website or touch any form of marketing, feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions on that hosting platform or theme piece, and we'll be happy to point you in the right direction.